Holy shit, Marvel fans, we just got some absolutely huge reveals about Spider-Man 4. This stuff comes from a reliable insider, and it is freaking awesome. But when you combine what is in this new leak with other leaks that we already know about, it gets even crazier. I think we now have a pretty good idea of what Kevin Feige is planning for Daredevil and Spider-Man and Secret Wars, and it sounds freaking awesome. Okay, so this is coming from Daniel RPK over on Patreon, and he says, I can confirm Daredevil is in the current draft for Spider-Man 4 with a sizable role. But like every Spider-Man movie in the MCU, they are also trying to get another big Marvel character to be in it as the Iron Man / Nick Fury / Doctor Strange of this one. The idea right now is Ant-Man. Okay, so that's the scoop. That's what's coming from Daniel. And again, Daniel has really good sources. I believe this is true. It could change, and it seems like they're trying to get Ant-Man, like they're trying to get Paul Rudd to do it. I imagine they likely will, but they probably have a couple other characters in mind that could also fill that role. Now, this is really wild. And again, when you combine it with a lot of stuff we've been hearing and other leaks and rumors that are out there, I think we're getting just like this really good picture of what's going on. So number one, I think this really explains why Kevin Feige was hell-bent on sort of remaking the Daredevil show. So this came out of that Variety article a long time ago, but Kevin Feige looked over the Daredevil show and just said it wasn't working and essentially fired the writers and the directors of the show. He brought in new writers, some of the guys from Loki, I believe, and now they're sort of reworking the show. And this really reminds me of what they did with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Now, I know some of you guys don't like Multiverse of Madness and you're crazy. That movie's freaking awesome. But that was a movie that was really important for the overall multiverse, so Kevin Feige basically delayed that film and did extended reshoots the November it was actually supposed to first come out. And they did a lot of reshooting and reworking for that movie, and ultimately we get what we got with it. And again, I think that was done because that movie's really freaking important for setting up the multiverse. This also reminds me of some older scoops from all kinds of people saying that Kevin Feige was really looking to get Charlie Cox as Daredevil into the next two Avengers movies. Like, do you guys remember when there were all those different scoops coming out about what the Avengers lineup was going to be for the Kang Dynasty and for Secret Wars? Well, yeah, back then there were a lot of the scoopers talking about how Kevin Feige really wanted Charlie Cox Daredevil to be in those films. I think he just recognizes what he has with Charlie Cox Daredevil. Again, you can kind of see the evidence there. He's remaking his show. He wants him to have a sizable role in Spider-Man 4. And I think in part this could be there to set up Charlie Cox being involved in the next two Avengers movies, which I would love, man. Freaking Daredevil hanging out in the multiverse doing Secret Wars stuff. Why not? Now, this also lines up with other reports that you were going to get some grounded street level stuff with Spider-Man 4. And Spider-Man 4 is a movie that has had a lot of different leaks and rumors about its plot. And it seems like there is some kind of connection between Spider-Man 4 and the Daredevil show because they wanted it to be ground level. There's a lot of rumors that the Kingpin, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, is actually going to be in Spider-Man 4 as well. And this is all tied to these rumors of Kingpin becoming the mayor of New York during the Daredevil show and then being the mayor of New York City for Spider-Man 4. But there are also big rumors, some of them coming from Daniel himself, that are talking about how Spider-Man 4 is a very important stepping stone towards Secret Wars. And I think that is real. I do think there's going to be some multiverse elements. I've heard that they were maybe going to put Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man into Spider-Man 4, even though My Time to Shine is saying that's not the case now. So either way, it just seems like you're getting a setup for the multiverse, a setup for Secret Wars, but you're also going to have a more grounded movie. So it kind of makes sense that you'd have Daredevil in a grounded movie and have him play a sizable role in Spider-Man 4. Now, as far as Ant-Man is concerned, I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard that, I groaned a little bit just because Quantumania was so bad, and I really don't like the ending of that movie. I thought it was so bad. But it does actually make sense to have Ant-Man be involved in Spider-Man 4 if you're trying to set up the multiverse. If this indeed is a big setup for what's to come in Secret Wars. Paul Rudd's Ant-Man is a uniquely qualified character to kind of get us there, because Paul Rudd has knowledge of Kang the Conqueror, and he may even be in some kind of a weird loop. And I had this thought when I was making this video. I was like, wow, what if Scott Lang was in the quantum realm during the events of Doctor Strange casting the spell in No Way Home? Like, what if Scott Lang comes back and he actually does know who Peter Parker is, and he does know who Spider-Man is? Like, maybe nobody else on the planet knows, but Ant-Man does. That could be really interesting. That could be a nice way to sort of tie this street-level Spider-Man film into quantum and multiversal things going on with Ant-Man. There's also this big rumor that Tom Holland Spider-Man is actually supposed to be the focus of both of the next two Avengers movies, and that somehow he's very important to defeating Kang, or he's like an important person that must survive the collapse of the multiverse. We're not entirely sure, but it seems like there's going to be a lot of focus on Tom Holland as Spider-Man moving forward. And so I wonder if maybe Scott Lang will figure that out. Are we going to see some kind of connection to the Kangs or the Council of Kangs, and this idea of Peter Parker on 616 being the chosen one and somehow really important to the coming multiversal war? It's also really cool to think about some of the other movies that are going to be coming out around this time. This is around the time where we're supposed to be getting the Fantastic Four movie. This is around the time when we're supposed to be getting Shang-Chi 2 and the rumored Doctor Strange 3, which are all supposed to deal with the Kangs and the multiverse and the craziness that's happening. And we all know that Marvel Studios is currently in a spot where they need to turn this thing around. They need hits. They need people to get excited about movies again. And they are looking at the slate and what they're trying to accomplish, and they're trying to pull the best things that they currently have together. This includes the different actors and the different roles, and they're trying to pull them together to have these big smash hit movies that establish a sort of story and this connected thing for Secret Wars. It really all has to do with Secret Wars. And as we continue to hear behind the scenes, Tom Holland Spider-Man plays an incredibly important role in how all of this is going to tie together. I actually have a video coming out in the next couple of days that I was already working on, which sort of breaks down some of the reports about Spider-Man Tom Holland. And basically, guys, the video talks about how the entire MCU downfall is because Feige needed Tom Holland Spider-Man to do all these things he wanted to do, and Sony just yanks him back. So that's why like Phase 4 was kind of a dud and just felt like filler, because it literally was. But you got to go watch that video. There's a lot of cool stuff and old articles and things that we bring up in it. But I say all of that to say Marvel's in a tough spot, but stories like this do get me excited. And I do believe they have awesome characters. They have awesome actors that are playing these characters. And if they give them great stories that take us closer to this multiversal war and all this craziness, it could be absolutely epic. So I'm pretty excited about this news. I'm pretty hopeful in Spider-Man 4, and I'm pretty hopeful that Feige's gonna be able to turn this thing around, because I mean, wow. If he doesn't, I just don't know. Of course, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.